Instead of writing on the board, she stepped back, refusing to play his game so easily this time. The suspense grew unbearable. The teacher, caught off guard, quickly turned to the board and underlined his equation again, insisting that no one else could solve it, that it was beyond the reach of ordinary minds. His voice cracked slightly, but he masked it with authority. But the students were no longer convinced. Their eyes weren't on the chalkboard anymore. They were on the woman, waiting, almost certain that she knew something bigger than what was written in symbols. Her calm presence only deepened the mystery. Who was she really? And why did it feel as if she understood more about the teacher himself than about the problem he had set? The classroom was no longer just about mathematics. It had become a battle of truth and power, and as the tension mounted, everyone sensed that the next moment would expose a secret none of them were ready for. The silence in the classroom became unbearable as all eyes shifted between the board and the woman who still hadn't written a single mark. Finally, she stepped forward, her movements calm but deliberate, and began solving the second problem with the same quiet confidence she had shown before. Her hand glided across the chalkboard, each number and symbol falling perfectly into place. Within moments, the so-called impossible question was no longer a mystery. It was clear, simple, and undeniably correct. Gasps filled the room. Students leaned in, stunned at how effortlessly she had unraveled what the teacher had sworn could not be solved. The teacher's face tightened, his pride unraveling in front of his class. For years, he had used these problems not as lessons, but as weapons, proof of his superiority. But now, his authority crumbled before their eyes. The woman set the chalk down gently, her calm expression never wavering. She turned to him and spoke softly, her words cutting deeper than any insult. The problem was never impossible. You only made it seem that way to keep others small. The class erupted in whispers, their view of their teacher shattered. Some looked at him with disappointment, others with outright disbelief. He tried to speak, to defend himself, but the truth had already been revealed. His tricks, his carefully built image, had collapsed with a few lines of chalk. But just as the room seemed to settle into shock, the final twist arrived. One of the students, a quiet boy who had always struggled with numbers, raised his hand timidly. He admitted that he had shown the woman his own notebook days before, the very notebook filled with problems the teacher had declared unsolvable. She had encouraged him, guiding him gently, and it was through helping him that she had learned the patterns the teacher thought no one else would notice. The realization hit everyone at once. Her gift wasn't just brilliance, it was her ability to see clearly, to listen, and to believe in others. The impossible had never been a wall, it had only been a door waiting for someone brave enough to open it. The classroom that once had been ruled by fear now felt completely different. The students who had sat in silence, too afraid to question, suddenly found courage in the simple woman's presence. She hadn't just solved the teacher's problems, she had solved something deeper inside them, the belief that they were never good enough to try. Her quiet strength had shown that knowledge wasn't about pride or intimidation, but about sharing and lifting others up. The teacher stood frozen, his authority broken, his pride stripped away. For the first time, he had no clever words to cover the truth. The woman didn't humiliate him further. She simply gave him a calm look, almost forgiving, as if reminding him that even those who think they know everything still have lessons left to learn. Her actions had spoken louder than any victory could. The boy who had admitted her guidance smiled shyly, no longer afraid to be seen. Other students gathered around him, suddenly curious, suddenly inspired. If she could help him, maybe she could help them too. The air that once had been heavy now felt alive with possibility, with hope that learning didn't have to be a competition of egos, but a journey of discovery. When the woman finally stepped away from the chalkboard, she left behind more than just solved equations. She left a message that stayed with everyone in that room, that the impossible is often only an illusion created by fear or arrogance. Real wisdom is found in patience, kindness, and the courage to see what others overlook. As the students whispered about what had just happened, one thing was certain. The day that began as another display of the teacher's pride had ended as a turning point, and none of them would ever look at a problem or themselves the same way again.